Hello and welcome. We return once more after, well, the horrible series of, not really errors, but technical difficulties of our last stream. My apologies for that. I, well, things changed in the setup and unfortunately it caused problems and the like, but you know. So, here we are. It is, of course, Solo Sunday. So, we're back to normal business and hopefully we won't have any technical errors. Because, well, this is what we usually do. This is what the majority of what we do is world building and dice and all that. So, I mean, if nothing's changed with that, all of our settings should theoretically be working. Admittedly, my apologies. I am a bit, what's the word? Paranoid, concerned. Well, after the slew of technical errors, of course, I'm a little bit concerned that I might have messed something else up. So, forgive me while I take 1 second to make sure that things are working, then we'll get right to it. Yep, it looks like things here are working. Very good. So, let's get to business. It is, of course, Solo Sunday, in which we run the tabletop RPG Galactic Requiem. I am, of course, your host, as always, Casimira Basilius. And of course, we follow the adventures here, currently, of the mercenary Juliana Aldous. We are still broadcasting to you from on board our battleship. We are, however, no longer in FTL. That doesn't mean we won't hit FTL effects, but we're no longer in FTL. So, you know, just an interesting fact that. So let's get down to business. Let's see here. Well, to make one of my conscripts very happy, I suppose we'll start with this. Last time on Galactic Requiem, our adventurer, Juliana Aldous, has pulled up to a zoo that is occupied by one of the local gangs that has stolen her target. Well, has her the target that her and her mercenaries want to secure. They are working with a different gang who's supporting them for money, of course. And there are, well, a series of events that are likely to occur because in our random generator, well, it's more so a sort of, it's hard to explain. We're not going to get into it. This is the day in which we play the game, not explain how it all works. So, I mean, we explain some things, but I'm not going to go over how the bot works for the billionth time. So, basically, the plot point is that there is a standoff, I believe. Let us check. I forget what exactly it said, so it's important to know. But basically, the amount they're asking for our target is exceptionally low, which is suspicious. Where is it? Here. Right here, yes. There's going to be a standoff more than likely, as the price they're asking for is 20,000 credits, and we'll see how it goes. Of course, let us start. I suppose in quick summary, which I suppose we do every time, but you know, that's just how it goes. This is a, of course, solo campaign, meaning that it is run using a set of solo rules. Meaning, basically, there's a series of charts and basically a bunch of information that gets interpreted by us, but what decides what happens for the most part is a bot in quotation marks. It's not a real bot. I've literally just named the file GM bot because it's not a person, but it GMs. So, but it's a series of lists and charts, and you roll, you reference, you interpret, and you get the results. And just because we have the power to interpret doesn't mean it will end in our favor in any way, shape, or form, because we are bound to the rules of the setting and the like, and the bot determines events and the like. And that means, it's not archived here, unfortunately, but Juliana Aldous has been absolutely obliterated in a gunfight, survived barely, but severely injured, and our previous character, what was his name? Eshadon, I think? I forget his name. Our previous character, Eshadon, nearly died repeatedly, got dropped into critical repeatedly while they're doing this. So it's by no means an easy go just because it's a solo campaign in which we interpret results. Of course, we don't interpret dice rolls and the like. We interpret questions about situations, all the stuff like stats and so forth are the stats as they would be in the game. So, and of course, we've set up something special. Of course, for those of you who just see our solo campaigns, you see we've filled out the zoo. Well, we're missing some parts, some doors, some windows, some building interiors, but we filled out the enclosures, where the walk paths are, and that kind of thing. And we've set up a list of blinds, as they are referenced in some settings and books, which are basically series of possible encounter locations. Basically, we do actually need to place them. That's something I completely forgot, that skipped my mind last time. Well, we'll place them as needed. Really, if they don't need to be placed, it's easier if they are placed. But anyway, what it means is we have a series of lists. Normally, when you ask the bot about an encounter, you have to ask it a bunch of questions and interpret them. And that can give a bit more bias. Of course, we try to be unbiased, but most Terrans can't not be biased to some degree. Even if it's not in their favor, they are biased. For instance, I personally prefer assault rifles to other weapons. I prefer assault rifles to shotguns. I prefer assault rifles to SMGs. I prefer assault rifles to pistols. I prefer assault rifles. So, subconsciously, when I'm placing units, even if I don't want to be, I'm likely more biased to lean assault rifle because I think they're better. And they are, don't get me onto it. I will go on about how assault rifles are, of course, the superior weapon. So, you know, um, even if I am placing things, of course, if I'm placing things in a place that doesn't have assault rifles, I will not place them. But, if it's an option, I'm likely more subconsciously biased to go for assault rifle. But these charts that we've made, I don't know if we have them. I probably was clever enough in foresight to place them on this file. I hope. Yes, I did. Good, good, good. Here, we have an encounter chart. Basically, we can roll on this as needed, and it will give us slightly less biased result in what we're doing. Specifically, we've weighted the chart how we wanted to weigh the chart. Of course, we have 2 rifles and 2 shotguns, so we have an even even chance of it being assault rifle or shotgun, and a higher chance of it being pistol, and a higher chance of it being SMG, given the fact that it's gangsters and the like, somewhat taking out our bias in equipping the units. Of course, we also have their whether they're ranged, melee, or a bit of both in their equip loadout, and also their skill level. And these will be randomly determined. I say randomly determined. What I mean is, as you can see here, they are listed. The options are here. However, when we come into an encounter and contact these units, I won't know what they're equipped with. My bias of how they're equipped is lessened because of the chart. I won't know how they're equipped. I won't know what skill level they are, what type they are, and how many they are. This will be determined when we encounter units for a more. I mean, it strangely enough, it both adds and removes randomness. Well, this isn't World Building Wednesday. I'm not going to get too much into. We've already gone on too long about how it works. But in simple terms, basically, it is both more and less random. Less random in it's not wildly up to interpretation, more random in the fact that we have absolutely no idea what we'll encounter, how many we'll encounter, what they'll have, what their skill level will be. It's weighted, but we have no clue. But it's structured because we have a series of things they are very likely to have. This doesn't mean they can't throw a wild card at us. The way the bot works is it still allows them to throw wild cards at us. Anyway. It is Solo Sunday, so let's actually get to it. Instead of going on about how it works, that's more World Building Wednesday than anything. Then again, I did tell myself, and I believe I said it here, that we are taking things slower. We will take all of our things a bit slower because we have as much time as we need. So let's make sure things are still working. And they are. So let's actually get down to business. What do we start with? Well, let's go away from the list and back up to our character sheet. You know what? One second. My apologies. I've arrived at a very obvious thing I should have done way before, but you know. And that is. Oh, copy that. Place that there. Make that a heading. So now we can literally just click and go there, which makes this so much easier. Should have done that before. Anyway. Okay. So. Now let's actually get into the gameplay. So, Juliana Aldous and her team pull up in their vehicles. There, as I recall, weren't many other vehicles around. We might have been watched as we arrived, because we went through enemy gang territory. Not really enemy, but the people we're dealing with. So, pulling up at the location, our people will begin departing their vehicles. We did not bring one of our mercenaries because they were injured in our previous exchange. But we did bring a bunch of that car should be there, shouldn't it? Yeah, much better. But we did bring a bunch of gang members to assist us. So as they pull up at the area, a lot of the, well, most of our team will depart their vehicles. No. We'll leave some of our units behind to watch the vehicles. So, departing the vehicles, the gangsters will form up as we suggest some of them remain behind. They don't really form up, they just, gather. This is the problem of having the vehicles on the token layer. Let's fix that. There, much better. Now I won't accidentally click them. Until we need to, then we'll have to, Anyway. So, getting out of the vehicles and suggesting that some stay behind with each vehicle, our units will move into the structure. This is exterior ground, by the way. So, moving in. Wait. My apologies. First question for the bot. Are there any gangsters outside of the structure? This is a chart check, and since it's not a check on the chart, we roll easily with our roller. So, first thing we roll is, the question is, are there any gangsters outside of the building? So, first things first, we roll a chaos die. 1. That is chaos. Now we answer the question. 1 and 5, which are both odd, and also the answer is 6, even with a +4, because it's likely there are people there, +4 for the likelihood, which brings it to 10, which is still a no. There are not any gangsters outside of the building, which is strange. So, let's see. Oh yes, both are odd numbers. Let us go over to our little file here, and let us see whether, well, what exactly chaos occurs. As they are both odd, that is exceptional. That is an exceptional no. Hmm. So now we need to think. Why? We need to come up with a reason that is exceptional as to why they are not outside of their own building. Hmm. Well, probably. Probably because, exceptionally, why are there no guards outside? Oh. And it occurs to me. Likely. Is that allowed? Not question, 1 second. I have a question for the rules. Not really for the bot, but literally a rules check real fast. Because the reason I can think of that is exceptionally why they're not outside here is likely. Well, we know that there's very unlikely, due to what we rolled, that anybody got here before us. Hmm. Well, we don't need a why. We just need something theoretically exceptional about it. The rules I was thinking is, am I allowed to simply say, am I allowed to simply say that there in a meeting in the center. The reason being is because questions. Yeah, let me double check the rules. It's a gray area. Here we are. So yes, technically, a question. I mean, you're not supposed to have information that you couldn't have, but that's for asking questions. It's a bit more of a gray zone if it's interpreting a result, because a result can give you information that you don't have, as per the same as the random chart, the random event chart that is. The random event chart allows you to generate events that you're nowhere near and answer things with plot events and information that you couldn't have per se. So it's a bit of a gray zone. It leans towards theoretically possible to interpret it in such a way. It's not a solid no, but it's a gray area. So anyway, let's see. But instead, we'll interpret simply as so what is exceptional about it? There's not even a person inside in the entrance area. As we enter, we basically don't even see a person at the entrance of their main base. Well, it's not, yeah, it is technically their main base, but yeah, we don't even see people in here, and we still don't see anybody as we basically continue onward and through. And in fact, to this strangeness, our mercenary, not Juliana, but one of the mercenaries with us, will comment. I thought we were supposed to be meeting with them. Where are all they? Where are they all? Words. They aren't difficult. Let's see, huh? As we continue in through the corridor, you know, mention how I thought they were supposed to meet us here. But we'll head on through. Juliana will respond to just the group that we're with. Do we know exactly where we're supposed to meet them here? I mean, where in the zoo? And the mercenary will shake his head. No, just that it's at their base in the zoo. Let's see here. Honestly, this is getting more and more suspicious. I genuinely, like, just from expectation, was. Now, I thought it was strange, yes, that we didn't see them necessarily as we arrived through their territory. I thought, out of character, I thought, they're they're watching us arrive, They're watching us arrive. We probably just don't see them. And then when we got here, sure, it'd be strange that there weren't people out here, but like, I expected us to be greeted in here. Like, from a outside perspective, I expected them to greet us in here. So I am genuinely just as confused as you on all this because I don't know what's going on. I don't know where this is going to go. I expected us to meet them here, be led in, and I was half expecting, a betrayal or standoff when we got to where I expect them to be. If things were normal, I would expect them to be here. As the reason for that being, as we've worked on World Building Wednesday, this is the heavily contained enclosure for dangerous animals, and the boss of this gang, he's stereotypically brought into the abandoned zoo some, like very rare death world animals and the like that he'd keep in this enclosure. And that we'd be led there to, deal with him. But things are going not as expected, so let's see here. Our team will that's genuinely thrown me for a bit of a loop. Our mercenary ally will head over to here and check inside. Just carefully opening the door and checking inside. Simple question for the bot. We're not going to roll, well, nope. Given the situation, we will roll chaos, given the entire situation we find ourselves in. Chaos is 4, meaning that is, let us double check. Where's our sheet? There it is. Campaign chaos level is 4. So, a chaos event is possible. Chaos event is possible. Now, the question, of course, we have for the bot is and was, is the door locked? It's a simple question, which is why I started by, should I roll chaos? Because it's a very simple question. Is the door locked? But given the situation, 9. And that's, honestly, I should probably state the odds before I roll, but to me, the odds were even, given the fact that things are strange here. Now, if there were gangsters in the area and they weren't going through that door, I'd give it a 2, a +2 to it to answer whether it's locked, because it'd be more likely. Maybe less likely, I'm not sure. Maybe it still might even be 50-50 then. But I give it a 50-50. And that is a no. And I have messed up. I should have been paying attention. Luckily, due to the way we're doing this, I think we can do this without messing anything up. Let me try. Okay, hopefully that didn't mess anything up. I'd forgotten our number there. Here we are, just double checking. 2 and a 7. Hopefully, yeah, 2 and a 7. So that tells me that no chaos, because they're not both even or both odd. So let's see here. So no chaos, but the door is not locked, because that's a total of 9, which is no on a 50-50 odd. So the door is unlocked and it opens. Is there anybody in here? We're not rolling chaos this time. Is there anybody in the room? 10 and 8. Yes, I suppose we'll roll chaos. Why not? 10 and 8. 10, no chaos. 18. Yes, there are people in the room. Honestly, that confuses me more. Hmm. Okay, let's see. My brain is simply trying to process the situation we find ourselves in. So there are people in this room. Very much so. Are they gangsters? Yes. Are they the gangsters we're supposed to be meeting? Well, we shouldn't do some interpretation. So there are gangsters in this room. Let's see. There are gangsters in this room, but not at the entrance. We've not seen them around. And these are the gangsters we're supposed to be meeting. There's one question I do have to leave up to the bot. We will roll chaos on this question. The question being, are they alive? That's the question for the bot here. Are they alive? We will roll chaos on that one. It's a 50-50 because I don't know what's going on here. No chaos. 6. No, they're not alive. The gangsters we're supposed to meet are in this room, but they're, well, some of them, but they're not alive. Okay. Our mercenary will say, you're gonna want to see this. And cautiously, Juliana will approach, as will our other mercenary. Very cautiously, as the door is pushed open. The gangsters with us will move to positions. One of them will move to cover. Two of them, in fact, will move to cover. We should have searched this building. We should have went through this building. Then we'd have more cover at the very least, or we might not be able to be flanked, but we don't know what's in there. We've made errors. Okay. We've made tactical errors here. Okay. I find this situation to be not at all what I expected, and a little bit tense. I do not want Juliana Oldest to die, and I don't know what's going on here. And of course, Juliana Oldest doesn't want to die, and she doesn't know what's going on here. So, let's see. There's a room with dead gangsters in it. How many? Oh. Okay. A roll of an 8. We've been over this probably before, many times, but a roll of an 8 on a question of amount is maximum. because it's, well, a D8. We've been over this many times before, but I'll go over it one more time. Probably go over it many more times, but just for reference sake, assuming I can find it. An 8 on a D8 is for amount all. 1 is 1, 2 is a couple, 3 is few, 4 is some, 5 several, 6 is many, 7 is most, and 8 is all. Doesn't literally mean all, but it does mean generally, like, it can mean all, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean, like, literal all. It's, like the maximum amount, sometimes a little bit beyond reason. For instance, like if you were rolling on a contract, how much does this contract pay? And you roll 8 all, it doesn't pay infinite money. So, but it is an exceptional amount of the gangsters we're supposed to meet in this place, dead. Oh, oh no. I have an idea. I have several ideas of what it means. I don't know which it is. More so, like I have an idea as the one who rolls the dice and reads the plot line. And likely, Juliana Aldis also has a rough idea of what might be happening here. Obviously, anything could be happening here. I don't know, and Juliana Aldis doesn't know, but both of us likely have the same idea here, which is somebody might have gotten here before us. That somebody might be the what do you call them? The government forces that really want to secure this person. In which case, this would make a lot more sense. Everything would make sense if that is what's going on here. It also is very bad, like exceptionally bad, if this is a government operation, because that would mean they had, well, a big enough force, I assume, to take out these people. Hmm. Let me check one thing real fast. Whenever seeing a room full of the dead, not the undead, luckily, very much luckily, here we are. Oh, whenever seeing a room full of the dead, Juliana Aldous, being a seasoned mercenary, is not simply going to walk into there without quickly checking that her armor is, in fact, sealed to external hazards. There, that's what we're looking for. The fact that it has life support. Okay. Juliana Aldis will make sure that her life support is active, and then she will step into the room cautiously, weapon drawn. She will, at this point, draw her weapon and say, well, cover me, as she motions to her mercenary allies, turns on her life support to full, and steps cautiously into the room full of the dead gangsters. They will, of course, move to cover her with their rifles, as she will make a check. We are going to be making a medicine check. This is, well, which one is it? technically, medicine works. This is one of those ones in which we have choices. Our options here are, let's see, analysis and medicine. Options are analysis and medicine. We have no analysis and 5 medicine. So we will use the medicine option, which will give us a different result than if we used analysis. Analysis would give us more information on the scene. For instance, perhaps why they were here. Were they dragged here? Did they die in this room? That's what analysis might give us. It might also give us some information on how they were killed. It would basically give us more, honestly, in this situation. Analysis would give us more because it would also tell us how they're dead. Medicine will only tell us how they died if we succeeded the check. So that's going to be 5 plus 1. So 1d20 plus 6. Let's go to our dice roller here. "13 plus 6. 19. There's one other thing we need to check with the bot. 4. That's the. I suppose I should have asked a question beforehand. It's not really a question. It's what is the difficulty of this check? 4. So a 4 on difficulty, by the way. Same thing as with the thing, just with the difficulty modifier, which is average. It is average difficulty to tell how they died with a medicine check. So a 19 on an average difficulty check is a success. It's 1 below 20, which would have given us a little bit of better. Let's see. Can our allies assist us with this? From looking from a distance, they have a slight penalty, but they have to beat a 10, and that is a success. So that's a +2, which boosts us to 21. So we do know how they died. Was it, the question for the bot, no chaos on this one, was it exotic? That's very much on the line, depending on how we want to modify that. We'll say yes, but not exceptionally exotic. So it's not, as Juliana Aldous enters the room looking at the bodies, she pushes one over and examines it with her sealed life support suit. She'll examine the body real quickly, the closest one to her, give it a quick once over, and see that they were killed by weapons fire. However, they were not killed by ballistic weapons. It's only slightly exotic. They were killed by not even lasers. They were killed by plasma weaponry. It's not like plasma weaponry isn't uncommon in the setting of Galactic Requiem. Plasma weapons aren't uncommon at all, per se, but they're not. It also depends on what nation you're in, honestly. If you're in the Commonwealth of Imperial Systems, no relation to the Grand Empire. They're technically just called the Commonwealth, but their full name is the Commonwealth of Imperial Systems because at one point in their history, they had a leadership of a imperial dynasty that led them, but now their government's a military junta, so, well, we're not here on World Building Wednesday, or one of our lore videos that we're working on, so we're not going to talk about the entire history of the Commonwealth, but the entire point I'm trying to make is in the Commonwealth, it would be stranger to be killed by a ballistic weapon than it would be to be killed by a plasma weapon, because the primary weaponry within the Commonwealth are plasma, secondary is lasers and energy weapons, and third would be anything else that's not plasma or energy would be strange to be killed by. Here in the Terran nations, it is in order of likelihood on the world we're on. Ballistic is the most likely to be killed by, followed by laser. Plasma is third, slightly rarer than laser in these territories. So we'll say lasers. Not lasers, sorry, plasma. They've been killed by plasma weapons. And Juliana Aldis, with a 21 in it on an average check, is able to determine that it was plasma weapons, which isn't necessarily that hard to determine depending on the type of plasma weapon, because you would see the force and the burns. Admittedly, it could be something else. There's a small chance that it's something even rarer, but a laser mostly burns all the way through, while you have the physical trauma of a plasma weapon surrounded by burns. So, anyway, Juliana Aldis will be able to words be able to determine that they were killed by plasma weaponry. And at that, she will she will it's not like there's something necessarily hostile in here, but it's also not like Juliana Aldis wants to remain in an entirely searched room full of dead bodies. So she will relatively cautiously make her way out of the room, informing the people that they've been killed by plasma weapons. I mean, one of them knows because they assisted, but, you know, she'll point out plasma weapons. And she'll look, she won't look at the, I mean, she'll look at the gangsters that are with them, not in any suspicion or anything, but she'll give a special glance at her mercenary allies because they care most about the objective. She'll give them a glance, sort of, something's up here, you know, something's wrong. This isn't standard or expected. So, you know, let's see here. Yes. She'll give them a look. Let's see. So, we know that we didn't see anybody arriving in the gang's territory. We know that there's a bunch of this gang's members dead here, killed by plasma weaponry. Also, important to note, just in case it becomes relevant. Because I don't know what the bot is doing or where it will lead us, we are going to add to our inventory right here 2 clues. Those are used in determining things and used for a variety of things. But as we've as we know there's nobody around, and there's basically strange that there's nobody around. It's strange that they're all in one room, and the fact that we've determined how they were killed has given us two clues, which we might be able to use. Maybe I'm not even sure if they'll become relevant, and they're not universal. They will be lost if not used. They're just tied to this plot. So we'll just give ourselves that just in case, because that's basically what we would have gained from the situation if they're relevant. Okay, let's see. This throws a wrench in our plans. Do we want to continue onwards searching this facility if there's a bunch, more than we have of troops with us, of dead people killed by plasma weaponry? Do we want to stay? That's a question that... Hmm. I mean, we spent so long mapping this place out. But also, I can't help but feel that it would be a terrible idea to remain in a place with so many... Hmm, so many... I mean, whatever killed these people outclasses us. It definitely outclasses us. I mean, it's not entirely certain, but it is very likely that it outclasses us. With a look of concern, Juliana Aldous will, yeah, she'll glance at her mercenary allies as the situation seems not ideal. But we aren't cowards. But is it cowardice to live to get paid? That's the real question, isn't it? We're not here for ideals. We're not here for the nation that we're assisting in this. We're here for one thing and one thing only: cold hard cash. Now, of course, we have a reputation to maintain, but we're here for cold hard cash. Will Juliana Aldous will motion towards the rest of the area, look at her allies, and shrug. Now this, I cannot... well, we do have the rule applied in which we can, for the most part, control our allied mercenaries, not the gangsters. But, I mean, of course we can order them around, but for the situation, we've pretty much been able and allowed to running it in a way that our allied mercenaries, we have control over their not entire feelings. Of course, they have character traits and the like that we can't break, but their actions and the like to a degree. So, will we continue to search? Yes. It's not like we're in a bad way. This is just dangerous. Hmm. Are mercenaries? You learn all this is paranoia. Will have her move up to the mercenaries, switch her suit from sealed to only, well, to filter rather than full-on seal, and then she will lean into the mercenary and say very quietly, "No comms." She'll do the same to the other, and she'll say to him, "No comms." That paranoia really kicking in. Because, I mean, like I said, I don't know what the situation is any more than Juliana Aldis or any of you. I genuinely don't know the situation. So, but in a look, what I do know is that Galactic Requiem is a very deadly setting in which stray gunfire can rather rapidly end our characters. I also know that we're simple mercenaries. There are forces out there that are far more equipped, skilled, and better at things than us. So, initially, my thoughts are whatever killed them has plasma weaponry and can take out a fuck ton of gangsters that are equipped with reasonable weapons that could usually, you know, our gang fighting likely the amount in there in a direct fight, we're not winning. So, whatever's in there, my assumption, powerful. And so, comms security is rather important if they have digital control, hackers, and AI, whatever they might have, if they have any of that, that would be dangerous for us. So, no comms. She'll also inform them each no net. No net, no comms. She'll note to them, of course, standard verbal, quiet verbal, of course, but standard verbal and standard motions, standard hand signals. No, nothing too special. I mean, of course, if we're being seen, but it's very unlikely that they could see us. We're not, of course, on the surface. We are underground, and we are in a gang's territory. They might have cameras, but it's not necessarily likely. It's it, it's not a good situation we find ourselves in. Let's see. Juliana Aldis will turn to these mercenaries and say, secure, well, not mercenaries, sorry, gangsters, and say, secure the building. Well, yeah, basically ordering them to secure this building. And I suppose they don't entirely know what's going on. But, oh, they need to make a check. Our gangsters need to make a morale check, of course. 4. Let's see. Here we are. 1 second. Apologies. I'll be right back. Okay, here we are. So a 4 on morale plus their resolve. I actually need to check that in our standard NPCs chart. Oh no. So that's a failed resolve check. Not by a lot, though. Let's see. Let me make sure I did that right. That's because it is important exactly how much they failed by. 4 plus 1 plus what's the modifier? 1. Okay, so I did get that wrong. Let me double check. Sorry, lots of charts to determine morale. That is definitely a failure by 2. Not 2 points, but 2 tiers. They will move into cover. Seeing the bodies dead and killed by plasma fire, they will immediately move into whatever cover they can find. Here we are. No, he's not confident enough to explore a new area for cover. But he will move back into the building. Oh no. I know we kind of want them in the building, but that is not ideal. Not ideal. That they are, in fact, retreating into the building, basically. Well, almost retreating back into the building. They haven't rolled full-on retreat, but they're near it. I mean, it is literally the next step. They will move into cover to the best of their ability, leaving us standing there. They need to make another check. They actually do need to make another check. Why they gotta be gangsters? That's not ideal. Specifically, they they've moved away. Technically, they they failed their first resolve check. The reason they're making a second is because it would be so easy for them to not be here anymore. They could just fall back completely and leave. And they will. On their next turn, they will full on move to retreat. There is one other thing they need to check for. Let's see. One other thing they need to check for is shock. They will have a +2 to this roll. Actually, that +2 is immediately destroyed by the -2 from the location they're in being slightly creepy, and the situation being slightly creepy. Gives them, well, just eliminates the +2. At least it makes it so it's a net 0. Because it's basically because of our numbers, by the way. The fact that there's so many of us, well, so many of us comparatively means that they're slightly less likely to be afraid, but also the spookiness of the area applies a -2. It's not a -4 because it's not the creepiest of areas, but it's a little bit unnerving to them. 14, and that is against, well, plus what? Here we are, +2, for a total of 16 versus, here we are, that is not enough. That is not enough. They basically do not like the situation they see. They see the bodies, they're like, oh, oh no. And they will basically go into basically full-on retreat. They take shock and they go into full-on retreat. Hmm. So we know that they're retreating more than likely as they say, oh God, we got to get out of here. And they start panicking. We know that they are retreating and not searching the building. Not ideal. We'll press on. Oh, no, we'll make one check. It's going to be hard because it's going to be at penalty versus everything we've just gone against. But what we're basically going to do is make a... where is it? Tactics check. A tactics rally. To try our best to get them to stop retreating. Assuming we can find our chart here. What is our tactics? 2 plus 1. 3. We will be rolling an assist from our ally. Let me double check one quick thing about that. How many allies are allowed? No. No allies. Basically, we can have 1 assist. Okay. Assist of 3. Fail on assist. Rally of nat 1. Okay, let's see what that means. And by the way, the bot and the universe, the GM, whatever, will throw down an action die to make that a critical failure. The targets do not get to make a bonus morale check. They don't get a additional one. And the morale immediately, the morale effect immediately worsens by 1 grade. So they have moved from a retreat to a rout. That's great. We've made it worse. Basically, our mercenaries will turn around and basically be like, you have a job to do. Your commander ordered you to assist us in this. We we have this. It's not that bad. And they're just having none of it. They're like, yeah, we're not getting paid for additional for this, like we have no loyalty to the mercenaries. They basically continue to panic as the 3 mercenaries are not able to convince them, which moves to a full-on rout. That's our move, so let's see. By the way, movement's normally 60 or 65. They are specifically taking the run action. This guy's not, he's just moving, but the reason they are moving more than 60 or 65 is because they are taking run actions. As they begin to flee the structure. Now I'm even less inclined to continue to search the area, honestly. If we had them with us, I would think, personally, continue to search the area because we have some backup in case things go south into a shooting war. Because extra guns and extra help. 3 of us searching an abandoned zoo in which there's a bunch of dead people. Not ideal. At least it was just death via plasma fire. There was a chance that whatever Death World creature was contained here, or creatures, were released. That would have been possibly far worse. Possibly. Possibly it could have been far less worse, but, let's see. Oh no. I accidentally minimized the dice roller. Let's see. So, we do find ourselves in quite a situation in which retreat for us is looking, us being the mercenaries, is looking more and more ideal. It's not like we're... Honestly, I'm just contemplating retreat for our forces. Now, like I said, if they were with us, the gangsters, I would think, yeah, it's risky. It's dangerous. Let's continue to search. Without them, 3 people versus whatever killed a large group of gangsters with plasma weapons. The gangsters didn't have the plasma weapons, whatever killed them did, but, maybe it's not here anymore. Maybe it's safe. It's quite a situation we find ourselves in. Hmm. Well, I suppose while we contemplate that, I will quickly go and pop some coffee into the coffee machine. Make sure the conscripts do it right. And it will be a minute, of course. I will be back in less than a minute. Well, probably. I'm not sure. I'll be back very shortly. Very shortly. Here we are. The coffee is being prepared, so let's get back to business. Where were we? Ah, yes. Trying to decide whether to continue on a extremely dangerous and suspicious mission or not. And, you know, I thought, let us indeed continue onward. Sorry, just making sure the coffee is being prepared properly. Let's see. So, we continue onward. Yulana Aldous will say to the mercenaries, so much for them, let them retreat. We will find that target, and we'll have words with their boss afterwards. Yulana will quickly look, after 1 second of contemplation, at one of her mercenary allies and say, you have the keys with you for the car, right? This is a check of the bot with a +6 modifier. We will roll for chaos, given the situation. Yes, chaos. Now the question is, do they have the keys with them? 1 and 5. No. Because that's 6. Minus 6 is 0. So that is no. And odd numbers. Exceptional no. And so the situation worsens. Here we are. Exceptional not having the keys translates to, as the gangsters get out of here, they will take our car, the car that we arrived in, basically, as they just pile into whatever they can, whatever's available, and they will drive off with our car. And we have line of sight of that, I believe. Maybe. Almost. No, because they have to go that way. We would see them drive off. Okay, things are real bad. Real bad. Okay. Me thinking this will be a relatively difficult fight with gangsters, probably. A possibility of a relatively difficult fight with equipped enemy gangsters with, randomly selected weapons and so forth. The bot saying, no, things are real weird, and now you have no easy way back to base. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? Let's see. I mean, in actuality, I do love it. It is good, interesting events, but from a survival perspective, why? Let's see. More and more reason to retreat. We will fall back. Not retreat. It's just with this few of us, we absolutely need to secure the building behind us if we want to push forward. Then again, things could always come from even further out. But I mean, it's not an ideal situation we find ourselves in at all whatsoever. Hmm. Everything, everything in me is saying retreat. Retreat completely, fall back, leave this area while we can, theoretically alive. Everything's saying things are bad, fall back, leave, write it off. But this is our only lead so far. This is our only lead that we have currently. I mean, if Juliana Aldous dies, she dies. But I don't want her to die. How's our ally looking? 2 action die down and 4 damage. Hmm. That's all of his action dice. We'll push onward. Okay. He can watch the corridor because he's injured. While the rest of us check the rest of the building. Is the door unlocked? No chaos, just a standard check. Yes, it is unlocked. Literally exactly with the roll of 11. We won't ask again. We'll just... we should-ish ask. We'll ask. Is this door unlocked? 14. Yes. Is there anything in the room? No. This room is empty. Well, not entirely empty. Of course, there's, a desk, filing stuff, office stuff, stuff for, the people who work here, just not any people in here or anything of significant note. Is the back door unlocked? Oh, wrong die. Is the back door unlocked? No, the back door is locked. Let me see whether I can do something real fast. My apologies. This will take but a second, and will make this so much easier for me. Here we are. Go over to here. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. It would just be slightly harder for me to talk through it while I do it. It's not really that important. I'm just trying to find a specific image in a rather large series of images. It's not really all that important. It is, I mean, I can say what I'm doing and still find it. I'm looking for a lock. I know there's an image of a lock. And that's why I didn't want to talk and do it at the same time, because I immediately missed it while focusing on two things, because I know it's in this file, but I don't know where. Too many images, you know? There it is. There it is. Not too many images, don't get me wrong. That's me doing multiple things at once. No, never too many images. Genuinely never too many images. We need all the tokens forever. We need tokens for everything and token states for everything. There is never that I should not speak such treasons. Here we are. Change that to the object layer. That one is currently locked. This hallway isn't locked. Yes, this hallway isn't locked. I'm just going to have executive statement on that because, like, you're not, well, you can ask the bot everything, but you're supposed to interpret and you're supposed to ask important questions, if you understand what I mean. I'm supposed to ask important questions. And this is basically just separating this corridor from this corridor. It's not really something you lock. This already is the employee's area. Yes, sometimes they might lead somebody here if they have to have a talk with somebody or something, but they're already going to, you know, usher the person into there. They're not going to lock this, you know? This one they might lock because this is a public area in which people could be, but this, they don't expect people to be in here, so they're not going to lock that. We're going to have, you know, just using logic, that's not locked. And I mean, other than that, like that's if it was a zoo. That's even like also I'm talking as if this is still a zoo. It's been abandoned for a long while. The gangsters probably don't care at all whether this is locked or unlocked. Maybe this one. So sure, this one they wouldn't care whatsoever. It's not like they have people visiting the zoo. Is this one locked? In fact, we'll add a -2 modifier because, you know, 8 already a no, -2 is definitely no. That's unlocked. Is there anything in there? 11 -2, no. Technically, that's a no, but. So there is blood in there. Signs of a fight. Nothing active, though. And the same question for this one. 8 plus 7. This one is locked. Hmm. Okay. So this one is locked, which is sure a situation it finds itself in. Juliana will gather her ally and will try to pick the door at first. Before we go busting the door down, let's try and pick the lock. It is a standard lock, given where we are and the like. What is our sheet? I was expecting maybe combat. I was expecting a combat-filled, but it turns out we've accidentally tumbled into what, to me at least, almost feels like a tense horror situation. Isn't that great? I mean, it's not. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, from a outside, I mean, for our character, it's terrible. I find it entertaining. Here we are. Let's see. Our security is 2. Let's double check. Okay, so that's going to be a total of 3. Not ideal, but what can you do? Six. Isn't that great? No, we do not in any way make progress on that log. We can probably take 20, but no. I'm not going to spend forever trying to open that door. So we move on to step 2. Step 2 is ram the door. And or shoulder the door and bounce right off of it. Isn't that great? Is that right? What's our athletics? That's technically athletics, so it might not be as bad as I think. I mean, it's a 3, so it's almost as bad, but here we are. Eight, 11, 13. So our total's 13, which is not enough, but it's not as bad as one might expect. But we do bounce off the door as we shoulder it. Not ideal. Not bad, but not ideal. -4. Has anything changed with the state of the door as we've interacted with it? Of course, it's likely not unlocked, but there's a small chance that, like, I don't know, there might be somebody in the room, or who knows. So we're going to add a -6, which is not the biggest penalty, but the biggest penalty is -8, but it's very unlikely. But there could be somebody in there. There could be something going on. We will roll chaos. Yes, chaos. Now, has anything changed with the state of the room? 1 and 2 is 3. That's no chaos because they're not the same number and they're not, it's a 1 and a 2. So they're not both even or both odd. And then that's a -6 on top of that, which is -3. So definitely nothing changes with the state of that room. It's not like there's anybody in there unlocking the door or anything special. Of course, even if we succeeded, that wouldn't mean that the door opened. It might mean that something strange occurs. So that's that. I suppose we'll try this door. Is it unlocked? Yes. Words. Juliana Aldous will look out of the structure, looking left and right, of course, and across the way. Quick random question for the bot. I'm not sure why I'm asking this question. This question's at a -8. By the way, it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely, but I have a feeling I should ask, just in case. That door's still closed, yes? So the question being, because we're applying a -8, so the way to phrase the question, because it's unlikely that it's opened, that door is, so I suppose we'll apply a +8. That door is closed. That is our question. Is that door closed? Chaos of 2, so yes, chaos. 9 and 7 plus 8. Yes, that door is still closed. Of course, if this was a actual horror campaign, we would change those odds. But this isn't a horror campaign. So luckily, -8, well, +8 to that. But those are both odd, and that is chaos. So that's exceptional, which is actually good for us. Very much so. The door is exactly as we left it. Nothing has changed in the situation. The door is as we left it. Very good. I would have now, had that door been open, we would have left. We would have just left, gone. No, it's not worth it at that point. At that point, we would have just written this entire thing off. We would have left and just never returned. Forget the contract, forget the pay. If the door we closed with the room full of dead people opens, we leave. We just leave. So, yeah, at least things aren't that. Now, 1 second. Of course, I need to get that coffee we prepared. It should be done by now. So, I'll be back in probably seconds. I return my apologies. That would have only taken a second if I didn't decide to have a cookie with the coffee. I mean, sometimes when you have a coffee, you have to get some sort of, you know. So, let's get back to business. We, luckily, have not wandered into a horror setting, which is good for us. But on the downside, things have not improved. Things have very much not improved. Our ally will move to here, watching that way now, as the other ones, Juliana and the other mercenary, will check the supply room. Is this door locked? No. Is there anything in there of note? 12 minus 4? No. So, other than some assorted old zoo supplies, and some, unimportant gang supplies, our party will regather and figure out how to proceed from here. We we have a bit of a situation. Hmm. This is not ideal. I mean, I'm just looking at the scale between us and this zoo. And it just does not look ideal. Oh well. We will have a quick chat with the mercenaries about the situation we find ourselves in, likely stating that it appears a greater force has dealt with the local gang, or at least forced them into hiding. It's a bit strange that we didn't see any out in the rest of their territory. Something killed a bunch of them, and there are 3 of us left without transit. Not really a situation you want to be in. But our mission has one lead, and it is this place. We technically don't. Okay, so I know that this is where their boss is supposed to be, if he's even there. Our character doesn't. We just know that the zoo's their territory. So what are we to do? Search the zoo? Technically, as has been stated before, the zoo goes up levels and down levels and is an entire thing. Like, it's a block. It goes up levels, down levels, there's entire sections. It's it's really not an ideal situation. This is... I'm stuck. I'm genuinely stuck. Do we search the zoo? Or do we write this off? Specifically the zoo, not not everything, just the zoo. I think... Hmm. See, I'm just not sure. Hmm. I'm just doing a lot of thinking. My apologies. So we have a situation in which I am not at all sure what we are going to do. We could continue to search the zoo and hope to find some information. It's a long shot because we don't know where. I mean, we could look around, search the zoo. We'll search the zoo. We will search the zoo. In fact, we'll use a handy little system to search the zoo. Not an in-game system, a rules system to search the zoo. Because we might fail, we might succeed. Let's see. That way we won't literally need to go door to door. If something comes up, we will be able to determine where we are and so forth, so don't worry about that. But we'll start searching the zoo. I mean, it's either that or retreat and have no leads. So we'll search the zoo. Let me open my rule book here. We will be initiating a... Where is it? I'm going to have to open the other book. Here we go. Here we are. Nope. Document decided to load in and swap my position in it. That's fine. We will, of course, be using the CRISP system. Not sure if I've talked about it here before, but it's this neat system that allows you to use... There's many options we have for systems. There's a few of them that let us do this, but we'll use CRISP. Because CRISP needs a bit of testing anyway. So, for CRISP, what we do... Where is it? We will be using... int and wiz. Here we are. 12 and 9. Which gives us a total of 10 as our average, I believe. So, with 10 as our average, that is our challenge health. Forgive me, I'm going to use a second note file. Unfortunately, it won't be visible, but it'll make this so much faster in getting it done. Here we are. It says here. Okay. Challenge defense is 10 plus the average of the 4 most relevant skills. The 4 most relevant skills to this searching are, of course, search. One could argue notice. Analysis, and investigation. One plus 2 plus 0 plus 0 divided by 4 is 0. Isn't that great? We have a 0. That's actually terrible, by the way. So we have a flat defense of 10. And lastly, nope, that's it. We're ready to use crisp. Oh, no, we're not. I was thinking of the other system. Of course, as this is crisp, we need to generate the health of our enemy. I say enemy, the concept we are fighting. The concept we are fighting is, of course, the ability to find clues. So, perhaps crisp wasn't the best one for this? Probably should have used a standard skill challenge, honestly. That makes more sense. But we've already started using crisp, so. Its defense is, let's see, 15. The defense is 15 of the enemy. And its HP is, let's see here, just a flat 10. So it has the same HP as us, which is good, but it does have a higher defense than us. So, let us begin. We will begin by, well, searching this section for anything useful. Of course, we will roll some bot checks and some crisp checks. Let's see, we do need to divide it into sections. There's 1, 2 being the big building, 3 being the buildings that attach to this, 4 being this section, and 5 being there. We can split into roughly 5, 6 being above, by the way, and 7 being below, and 8 being further on. Let's see. Just in case it becomes relevant, let's start. First question for the bot, because we're in one section, is if anything interrupts our little search here. 10 for chaos, so no chaos. 1 and 1 is 2, so no, we're not interrupted. Let's see. So we start with our search check, by the way. 19. That hits. That definitely hits. So, in the CRISP system, we are basically attacking, in quotation marks, with a search check, trying to get information on, well, what went down and where our target is, with a 19 plus 3, 22, which beats 5, that's 2 d4s for damage, by the way, so we will roll 2d4 for a total of 3. Unfortunate, that is terrible, but we do 3 damage to the concept of finding information. And yes, we are fighting the concept of finding information, which drops to 7 out of 10 HP. Let's see. We have a half action because we did 1 attack. That does leave us a half action. That was a standard attack. Let us spend our other half action. Honestly, I'm conflicted. The way the CRISP system is, there's many options in how we can go about it. We've just opted for a very plain, straightforward attack. There are many ways to go about an attack, of course. Everything's in quotation marks. We're not really, attacking. Anyway, so we have several options. What we did was basically damage. We tried to damage the enemy. So additionally, we could try to stress the enemy. Worthless in this situation because there's no real, technically it would work. Like, technically you can stress the concept, but as we're not fighting people over a long term, stress isn't an action we want to take to apply to them right now. We could increase our defenses because it's about to move. The concept is about to attack back, so we could raise our defenses, meaning if we raise our defenses, we could then try and, defend against whatever they're going to do to us by increasing our AC, or we can damage them back. Because our AC is terrible. They will more than likely damage us if they roll. 2 might make a difference, maybe. We could go all out and hope for another successful attack on them. Or we could, I don't know, technically we could target their defenses, meaning their defense is decreased by 2, or we can exploit weakness, which will give us a +2 on our next attack roll. Or we could just flat out attack. So we have choices in how to go about it. Of course, we could also all out attack, which would increase our die size. We would increase our d4 to d6 on our next attack roll. Or we could change tactics, but that's not really too useful. Of course, there's other options, but they're more nebulous and you basically come up with those on the fly as needed. But those are the generic maneuvers. So I think we will... Let's live dangerously. We didn't do a lot of damage there. Even a +2, they're probably still going to hit us. So let's go for it. And hope we hit. 14, 15, 16, 17. That is a hit, but it's not by over 5, so that is going to be 1d4 for an additional 2 damage. I was hoping for something better. but that does drop the challenge health to 5 as we continue to search the information, the area for information. But now it's its turn. It will, as it's getting hits and it's close, it will actually make our lives a bit more difficult. Why not? It makes sense that it, I mean, it might want to, I mean, it's not like it'll one-shot us, but it can make it harder for us to hit it. It'll increase its defenses with one action, increasing its AC to 17, and it will attack once because it won't win unless we, you know, unless we fail. So it will make one attack against us after increasing its defenses. Nine. It gets a 5 because 15 minus 10 is 5 for its total, because its stats are the same as its. Anyway. 9 is not enough to hit us. If it increased its attack, it would have hit, but luckily for us, it increases defense. So no damage is done by it on its turn, which brings it back to our turn. So we continue to search the area for clues, looking through the areas, trying to find anything of note. Unfortunately, we do roll to see if there's an event. It is, of course, at a -6. So no chaos, just do we come across an event? 4, 5, 6, no. We do not come across an event as we continue our search. The next round of crisp combat begins. We will do our best to methodically search the buildings, looking for basically any sign of other deaths, any sign of where they might have been dragged from, because it's unlikely they all died in that room. We'll investigate looking for basically where they might have been killed. That, unfortunately, is a use of the skill in this challenge of, what's the word I'm looking for? The forensics check, which is at a 1 total on this dice roll. It's a +1. 7. We do not succeed in our first check. We will do it one more time. We will continue to try and analyze the information. And we hit. I'm happy we continued. I was thinking about raising our defenses or something else otherwise. Okay, let's see. That's 20. That is a success by 5. So that is going to be 2d4 more damage for a total of 6. Dropping the challenge to 0. Actually, -1. We successfully find information that we are searching for as we succeed against the crisp challenge. So basically, we searched the area, continued onward, and I mean, if we're just following where we would have looked, we basically searched here, investigated here, and found something. Of course, there are better ways we could have done it. We could have done crisp far more descriptive than that, but anyway. We make our way, searching through the areas, finding, well, clues along the way that lead us to here. Arriving in, we see, unfortunately, because I didn't place it, but it's there, a glass area overlooking the exotic animals pen. Let's see. Hmm. The exotic animals are in there, as are likely a couple of corpses. But I think we will call it there today as I prepare the things. We'll call it there today. A bit shorter than I wanted, but had we gotten into combat, we would have been able to go for longer, but I feel like we need a bit more preparation. Of course, we could always do it while we're going, but yeah, we'll call it here. Next time is World Building Wednesday. We'll work on this and preparing it all. And I'm not sure what we'll do Miscellaneous Friday. Hopefully we can get a game to work and not have everything have technical errors. And hopefully we'll run this for longer next solo Sunday. My apologies for the slightly shorter than, well, than at least I hope for them to be streams. But, you know, slowly we make progress forward towards wherever the plot may lead us. Thank you all for stopping by. Next time is World Building Wednesday, in which we'll work on this and ramble and such. Thank you all, and see you next time.